Thank you very much. Colleagues, brothers and sisters, let me, on behalf of the People's Progressive Party, say thank you for being here today. We appreciate the support that we have gotten from many of these communities and many people who live in Region 10 over the numerous years. And we are very, very appreciative of the continued support. When we started this campaign, we opted for a path that was a serious path, because in just 4.5 years of this government, we have seen a trend. Our country was on an upward trajectory. We were progressively getting better, creating more jobs, better welfare, training our people. They had more money in their pockets. And we thought that would be the future of Guyana, that we'll continue to build on the successes of the People's Progressive Party. But what has happened in 4.5 years, they've changed the entire outlook on our country. When we were creating jobs, they have lost 10,000 jobs in 4.5 years. When we were getting more people trained, now they've shut down much of the training program. When we had started helping parents to send their kids to school by getting them more nutrition programs, the cash grant, etc., they've shut that down. When we got more investors to come to Guyana because we are opening up our country to create more possibilities for the future, that also has declined. Instead, what we've been replaced with, it's a geriatric generation that has replaced young people out of politics totally, absolutely. Young people don't have a role in this government if you look at them. Contrast that with the People's Progressive Party. When the party chose me as a minister, I was in my 20s. By 35, I was president. Our cabinet had over 60% of the members who were in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. Irfan Ali became a minister in his 20s. He's now 39 years old. We live a history of inclusion of young people. If you look at our list of candidates, we have 50-something new faces, young, bright people. Look at you, Todd. You Todd came from Linden, went into the army, and now he's at the University of Guyana as a lecturer. That kind of inclusion of young people for the future. It doesn't mean we want to get rid of older folks, but this is a growing party. A changing country has to include young people. And so now I see the most vile comments coming from some of the young people in the APNU camp. And I'm sorry that tonight I have to leave the sublime messages of the People's Progressive Party and go back down into the dirt, because you have people like Figueroa, whose bread is well buttered, And now people like Solomon here in Linden and Vanessa Kisoon, who were excluded. Granger didn't want to see them. They didn't even have a voice. But they're the ones who brought the messages to young people of jobs, etc. in 2015. They've been excluded, and now they're back again, shamelessly misleading young people once again. If they were excluded, how would you, the people in Linden, be included, or people in Region 10 be included, young people? They shamelessly are doing that. They had another bunch of them like Sherrod Duncan, a thief of the Chronicle. Last night he was pushing this line that, oh, the PPP canceled the Linden rally. That is what they're pushing all around. and that we didn't cancel the one in Anna Regina, preaching racism basically. Well, Anna Regina is a PPP stronghold. They had their rally but canceled the one in Linden. This is the disinformation. They only have one thing now. They can't run on their track record. They can't run on track record because they have no achievement. They're trying to divide our people along racial lines, but that's not going to happen. Collectively, we will fight it down every single day. And your presence here today in Linden is a testimony to the multi-ethnic nature of the People's Progressive Party. That is what we're about. Comrades, we knew they were going to up for the show. Friday night, they had a meeting in Linden, and they did not announce it as a public meeting with their speakers. They said a Jamaican artist will have a show here, and then Harman shows up next to the Jamaican artist. And even that was a failure. But in 2016, when young people had already started leaving them because they were totally fed up with the promises made in 2015 in the campaign, one of them wrote a strategic piece, and they said that don't worry with these young people, that at election time, all we have to do is to bring in some foreign artists and have a show, and they would all come there and support us. They will drink up and have a good time, and then we'll get their votes. Well, they have a bad view, a dim view of young people. They think that people are stupid. So I would say to all the people here in Linden, go to their show, eat the free food, drink the free liquor, and vote PPP Civic. Because when you vote for us, you're voting for jobs, for better welfare, for better education, for health care, for the inclusion of young people in a meaningful way. This is what. And the affront of it all, comrades, on that stage on Friday night, I saw a Brian Tiwari sitting on the stage. He's a big contractor, Harman's friend. On January 2nd of this year, the fiscal year ended in December 31st. They signed a contract illegally with him for $800 and something million for a school at Yarracabra, a school that will cost $400 million. So I guess it's payback. He brought some bicycles from the big perks because he'd been making over $400 million in a corrupt act, and shared it out to the people in Linden. His presence is on that stage is a testimony to what we've been saying, that a few corrupt individuals have been benefiting from this government. He's Harman's friend. Harman went to Buxton and talked about my people, talking of Afro-Guyanese as his people. For 4.5 years, they didn't know that they were his people. BK and the others were his people then, and these corrupt contractors. And we made it clear. So whether Tiwari likes it or not, we're canceling that contract after March 2nd, the 800 and something million contract. This is what it's about, comrades. Total razzmatazz. That's all. They have no message whatsoever. A party that is in power has the campaign on its track record. It should come and say, we have done the following things. They can't say anything. They had an 11-point plan for the development of Region 10 when they campaigned the last time. Not a single thing in the 11-point plan has come to pass. Not a single thing. Granger comes into these communities. He pops in the morning, and in 2 hours later, he's out again. Out again. None of their leaders before the no confidence vote, they weren't coming here. Linden and Region 10 didn't matter to them. Now suddenly they're on the campaign trail again. They love you. And so, comrades, Don't worry about the flags that they're hitting down. Don't worry about the destruction of our billboards, because they are desperate. They're scared. They're scared. They've seen the PPP juggernaut growing from strength to strength, that it is growing. The PPP campaign is gaining in strength. It started at Kitty, and then nomination day, and then they saw the crowd in Maruka, and then Albion, and then Anna Regina, and they are scared. And today, after they see Linden, I think many of them are going to just pack up and leave. Particularly the corrupt ones that we have to examine carefully. You recall the last elections, they were talking about the corruption and the audacity of their campaign. Imagine Granger puts up his picture. That's their campaign for them. Granger, next to his picture, they have a slogan, the good life for all. Well, we heard that in 2014. And the slogan in itself is so hollow that it's meaningless. They could have come up with something better, because people have not experienced a good life. In fact, today they're paying $88 billion more in taxes. You are paying now tax on foodstuff that you didn't have to pay before. Baby diapers now have taxes. VAT on medicine, VAT on water, VAT on electricity. $88 billion more out of your pocket. They've spent $1.1 trillion of our money in these 5 years. And guess what has happened? All the sectors are in trouble. Forestry is in trouble, mining in trouble, sugar in trouble, rice in trouble, the bauxite industry in trouble, retail trade, construction, every single sector. And you know why? Because of the anemic policies they put in place. They say they want to help mining, then put a slew of taxes on it. Want to help agriculture, but tax it to death. That is the issue. There's no consistency with their goals or the policies. There's absolutely none. And so they have borrowed over $900 million US dollars. And they spent it up. Every agency that we left money in, we left $10 billion in GGMC, now it's zero. They're bankrupt. We left nearly $20 billion of gold reserves. Now it's all gone. They sold off the gold reserves. They're using up every single cent that we have left them. And so, comrades, these elections are about the future. Today they come and they talk about, they're making new promises, oil and gas, and they sold us out to the foreign people. The contract, 2 bad contracts. A couple nights ago, instead of having a session at the national park and briefing the country about the future of oil and gas, they opted to go to the Marriott. They used to say that the Marriott was built by the PPP and they'll turn it into a hospital. Now they love the Marriott. They're there every day. Everything under the PPP. And so what has happened? What did they do with these contracts? They signed some contracts where you have zero royalty, no taxes paid by the oil companies, no ring fencing, nothing. They're reaching the relinquishment provisions of these contracts so that our people can't find jobs in the oil and gas industry. We're going to get 2,000 jobs from oil and gas, but we lost 30,000 jobs. The money we'll receive from the oil and gas industry for the next 4 years because of these bad contracts will not be adequate to cover the debts that they have borrowed alone. We have to repay nearly $5 billion of pre-contract costs, US dollars. They agreed to this without any audit. Granger, who is in charge of managing this contract, has never read the contract. They can't look out for Guyanese. They can't look out. We in the People's Progressive Party, we're going to ensure we fix this. The Guyanese have to share the prosperity of the oil. And whether you live in the Berbice River or the Demerara River or here in Linden, you have to share in that prosperity too. We're going to renegotiate some of these contracts. We're going to ensure that Guyanese will have jobs, not that our people are paid 72,000 Guyana dollars and the foreigners 10,000 US dollars. Or that there's no local content policy so that our people can get some business. Even our taxi drivers now can't get the business because the oil companies are recruiting firms from abroad to do that, to plant trees even. If we are not careful, we become like Venezuela. Venezuela produced 3 million barrels of oil per day. We're only going to do 120,000 barrels now. And what happens in Venezuela? They're starving now there. And this will happen because of the philosophy of this government. So they can take away the cash grant, but they increase their spending in government food by $1.6 billion. That is what they're spending. People like Figueroa and all of the others have been living the good life. They're getting duty-free vehicle. I had to point out that the Minister of Finance got the GRA to sell his son and another member of his family 2 vehicles that they seized for 250,000 Guyana dollars each. But about 300 of their cronies have gotten that when they would never make a visit to one of the riverine areas or your villages. And look what has been done to the Amerindian communities. The promises that were made, they promised to accelerate land titling, but nothing. We left 10.2 million US dollars from the Norwegian fund to do that. They stopped accelerating land titling. In fact, Keith Scott said in the National Assembly, imagine in a multi-ethnic National Assembly that Amerindians are greedy, and if they get more land, then they should not benefit from oil proceeds. This is in a parliament of Guyana where we're trying to bring all of our people together. This is on the developments, even the ICT in the riverine areas that Cathy Hughes has been running around now. That's funded from a program that we left that they slowed down. Nothing new. If you drive on the East Bank Road, it's a PPP project. You drive on the West Coast Road that was fixed, PPP project. You go on the East Coast Road, we left that. Sheriff Street, we left. The airport, we left. They said they had paved the road from here to Lethem. Sticky Finger Patterson said that he already finished paving the road, put out a picture. So we asked people who driving on this paved road from Linden to Lethem. But Sticky Finger don't see well. So comrades, let me get back to the central message. This is the most corrupt government in our entire history. The Inter-American Development Bank said this is the country with the highest bribery record. We have had so much scandals by ministers, now we're running out of time and space to talk about them. We tried to file 5 private criminal charges against these ministers. They blocked it. But wait after March 2nd. Wait after March 2nd. A lot of them who got big mouth now, watch out. And they promised to throw me in jail, but I'm here now. They did 100 audits. But we know when the evidence leads to some of them, they're going to be begging large sums of money, millions of US dollars in their account. People who had nothing have suddenly gotten the good life. You know, $1 million salary per minister, TSU has to guard them, etc., whilst the kid in Linden has lost their job or they closed down the call center. As someone said, we have a track record here in these communities. We didn't get a lot of support in the early days from Linden, but we persevered. as somebody said, all of these things, the new housing scheme at Amelia's Ward, Block 22, I walked on those pieces of land when there was nothing there. And we now have thriving housing schemes with thousands of people living there because of the People's Progressive Party. When they had blackouts and the hospital, we went into the hospital. We promised to build a new hospital, and we kept our promise. And we spent over $2 billion on building a new hospital for this region. We believe in keeping our promises. When we came here and found that there were no jobs, I brought a team from the Ministry of Finance. We did an area study. We set up Lens. We set up Leaf, to a business incubator. We started building roads into West Watuka. We started looking at the riverine areas for better health care. We have a track record of working, and we used to go, many nice people, Irfan Ali and all of the other people. We don't come and drive and go to Watuka House where they put in chandeliers now. We go into the market and have a chat with people at night. Because that's what you need, a government that is responsive. And comrades, we did this all without oil money. Just imagine what more we can do with oil money. But if you give this APNU $10 billion of oil money, because of how they spend money, it would all disappear. Guess what they're spending it on? Painting buildings green, buying a fleet of vehicles for Granger, giving perks to the ministers. Even the supporters, hardcore supporters of the PNC and APNU now have seen their lives decline. And so I want to promise you, whether you live in the rivers here, in Linden, in Region 10, or you live in Linden, or any other part of this region, that development will come your way. This is our solemn pledge to you. From day one, we'll start fixing the decline. We'll return to making sure that our young people have a future that is bright. And trust me, we have the skills, and our party believes in national unity. You just look at us and contrast their list, their whole well-being. You would see which is the multi-ethnic party of Guyana, the only national party, the People's Progressive Party, people of every race, every religion. That's what we need for this country. We don't need to garbage bags and lock in people. Valda wanted to throw away the key with me too, lock me up in a box. But I can float very long, don't worry, Valda. Valda talks about going to jail. If anybody should go to jail, Valda Lawrence should go to jail. They gave a man a contract. They gave him $25 million in advance. He went in South Georgetown and bought a property for $25 million. They gave him. And then turned around and rented his property at $12.5 million a month to the government. He has collected this one man, his name is Larry Singh. They're friends. He collected more money than the capital budget for Region 4, the biggest region for healthcare. Twice as much for the entire region, their capital budget. That's what they're spending on all of us in Region 4. Nearly 350,000 Guyanese. Larry Singh alone collected that. Larry Singh from Valda's ministry. Another, the Public Procurement Commission pointed out $605 million of contracts illegally given to one person without any tender. Harman's friend from New York now has gotten billions of dollars of contracts in the healthcare sector. Another Singh, what's his name? Bharrat Singh. And then they come to the people, the kid in the street corner in Linden, and tell him, you must come and listen to the Jamaican artists and vote for us when they Bharrat Singh and Larry Singh been pulling down all the sweet for the last 5 years. This is the lies that they're coming to mislead young people again. So please, understand what we stand for. Please understand what is at stake. In your hearts, you know this, that if the devil comes down and support them and they win, because only the devil can support them for them to win. But God is greater than the devil, right? And therefore, you come out, vote for the PPP, ensure that in your communities, every single one comes out. And if they try to do their wickedness again, we have to be vigilant. We're very vigilant. We're watching them now. So thank you very much for being here. Vote PPP Civic and let's march on to victory. Thanks.